Institute podcast. I'm your host, Ben. I'm tremendously excited to see you today. As always, I love you all, each and every one of you. Today, we have the honor of speaking with Mr. Eric, the CGO and founder of ShopX Labs. What's going on, dude?
What up? I'm super stoked to be here. Thank you so much.
I love it. Now, I know you're a true gamer because right before we started, I was like, all right, let's send it full send. Actually, you said full send. And I was like, that's what I used to say in my League of Legends days. That's might be why I had a pretty bad KDA as a jungler. And you're like, yeah, that was from the WoW days. I can imagine, all the different battlegrounds and stuff. But before we dive into this, I'm super excited for our convo. Before we do that, it's time to level up.
Take it to the next level. Take it to the next level.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I hope you're pumped. I know I sure am. Eric, you're doing some cool things. You've done some cool things, and I'm super tremendously interested in digging into all that. So maybe you could give us a little bit of your background first. Would love to hear your story.
Sure. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Eric, 29 years old, blessed to live in beautiful Southern California. First dabbled in crypto in 2014, took the deep dive in 2016. My first job out of college was at Snapchat to help with their ad optimization, with their algorithm. The reason I chose to do that was like right before the IPO, so I wanted to see what that was like right before, right after. That was some cool experience. They were doing some at that time, they were just doing some really cool like AR stuff, so that was dope. After that, I got a big boy job as a bankruptcy consultant, aka Fortune 500 company goes bankrupt. They need to pay their lawyers, they need to pay their board before the little people. So that's what really helped propel me into crypto, because I was sitting there getting paid hourly to bill out clients. I'm like, well, this is a lot of waste. And at that time, I was like really going hard in like Andreas, Saifedean, all the OG crypto people. So then I took my full dive, rage quit after I got my bonus, and then found the ShopX team. And it's been a fun story ever since. So we did ShopX. We launched a social commerce platform to replace affiliate codes that had 100 brands at its peak. So you're a brand, you download an app, you upload your products with a discount commission. Anyone on the platform can sell any product. So I could sell my Nikes, my Air Jordans, my Razer gaming materials, all through one single link. And it all circled back to ShopX with the rise of NFTs and this next bull run.
Okay, I absolutely want to dig into that. But first, I want to talk about the rage quitting situation that that was going on there. So you're at that time the consulting firm.
Correct.
And you're not digging it too much. And at that time, were you in a spot where like you had to do it, or where you were just kind of doing it because that was just what you thought you should be doing at the time? Like, what was actually going on at that point?
Yeah, so it was like pretty recent after college. So I went to like a 4-year, not that matters at all anymore. But like after you go to college, you're just like, I should probably get a job. And then you start applying on LinkedIn. And then this one kind of hit. Honestly, it was chill. People are nice. Work is fine. Pay was decent. It's just it wasn't my jam. So I was getting comfortable and complacent. So wait to my bonus. There's something that pushed me over the edge. I'm like, oh, I can't work here. And then dipped. Then I'm like, I need to find crypto anyway.
And so going down that rabbit hole, what was that actually like? Because I know for me, I watched a ridiculous amount of YouTube. I listened to a ridiculous number of podcasts. I started reading whatever foreseeably evergreen books there were. How did you actually do it?
I'm guessing we did it the same way, in the sense we went hard on Twitter, hard on like YouTube podcasts. You go down, you see like, you go through the loop of like Saifedean, stuff on Lavera, what Bitcoin did, and then you branch out from there. I was in a very fortunate position in the sense at the consulting job. I mean, as long as you're billing out hours, you're good to go. So during like my whole 8 hours a day, I'd be doing like Excel shit, but I also be plugged into podcasts listening to Bitcoin stuff. So that, and I had a core group of friends, one's at Kraken, one's at Coinbase. And you have your homies. You're always like texting each other like tweets and like links and videos, and just like, hey dude, I just bought 500. It was like, you're not gonna beat me. I'll buy 510. And so we fed off each other. Now we became like hodlers of last resort. And yeah, just been enjoying the whole ride, to be honest. Crypto's like, honestly, it's one of the most interesting things in the world.
It is. It really is. So, okay, so you make the jump, you really start learning. Seems like you start to just start going hard with some trading and hodling and stuff.
Learn my trading lesson. Actually, I didn't, but
yeah. Okay, wait, go into that. What do you mean by that?
Oh, you're just like, you first get into, you go through the cycle, you're just like, Bitcoin's number one, no, Ether. Then you're like, oh, all these altcoins are cool. You get wrecked, then you go back to Bitcoin. You're just like, okay, well now we're trying different altcoins, obviously. So like in 2017, I think if you're around, you knew how easy it was just to throw money at like an ICO, and then it just failed. But yeah.
Well, truthfully, I came around in the class of like 2021. So
okay.
yeah, so I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people like me, and there are going to be a lot more people like that than there are people that were around in those days.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, it was like NFTs scams, but on just more. They're just IPOs dropped for days. It's like join a whitelist. Okay, send the ETH.
That's hilarious. Okay, so you were getting into that, and that sounds like it's a lot of fun, but it also sounds like it can be pretty dangerous if you get too far into that and don't do some sort of risk management. But okay, so then there seems to be now this time where then you're like, okay, well, I want to do ShopX. And so what was that actual process of going from, okay, I'm learning about crypto, I've taken the deep dive post rage quit, to then you're starting your own project, and then how did you actually go about building out the idea, the infrastructure, the team, blah blah blah?
Yeah, so it was like right after that, and I joined. So 2016 rage quit, then I started going to crypto meetups. Then I met some of the other founders who were already working on it. It was a different name that we can't go into details for reasons. But yeah, we've just been working together since on some ShopX, some side projects. So it's like it's a core group of agile, smart people just doing what feels right, trying to help the ecosystem whenever you can, just constantly adapting. It's like ShopX now, obviously at this time, was different when it started. It's just whatever fits in the moment is what we're going to switch to.
Yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I don't think we've ever talked about that on the pod before. But like, what did it start out as, and how did it evolve over time, and how did you do that in a way to where you guys are still around and doing stuff now? I mean, that's a long time to exist as a business. Most businesses fail. A lot of people just get bored or quit or whatever from that stuff. So that evolution, I think, would be really helpful for people to get clued into.
Sure. So it started off as a global inventory management system where, in a sense, every SKU should have an NFT and they can track it perfectly. This was happening before NFTs were a thing. So our first Rossman transaction to prove that. So that was the core concept. We fiddled around with it for a bit. And then 2017 happened. So obviously, like the crypto market died. So whatever fundraising we were doing kind of died off. So we did that simultaneously with our SaaS platform as well. And we took what we learned from the SaaS platform and incorporating back to what ShopX is now. So right now, ShopX, it's a suite. ShopX is a suite of technologies that'll enable brands to easily interact with Web3. So our first product right now is a pre-purchase loyalty program called ReserveX. So as a brand, you're on Shopify. We're currently developing with 2 out of the other 4 big e-commerce platforms, which should be done soon. You can deploy a smart contract within Shopify within 3 minutes with no technical expertise. Like my grandma was literally able to do that. So that's you deploying your own Mint smart contract.
Wait a second. How tech savvy is your grandma? We got to qualify this.
Not tech savvy at all.
Okay.
Like not, yeah, she's a super grandma, but in tech wise, she's not an OG grandma.
Right on.
Yeah,
okay.
Like all you need is an image and your past price and past description. Yeah.
So what is that smart contract actually doing?
So you're deploying a smart contract to allow your customers to mint. So it's an e-commerce NFT smart contract. So once your contract is deployed within Shopify, you have your NFT, but then you can add e-commerce benefits to that, such as token gating, building on price gating. So like you build a contract, deploy it, add products to your contract, customer purchases that pass from you, you get instant revenue. You got a new way to interact with your customer, and then they can get exclusive products. So like for example, if there's like 50 hats available, you could do a 50 pass mint. You have a pass, you can get that product in real time online. So this like think about if you're camping 3 days outside for the Apple iPhone, I would rather just have a pass and purchase it online.
Okay, so you're basically tying NFTs to making it easy to add NFTs into the e-commerce experience.
Correct. So it's Web3 e-commerce powered by NFTs, and the reason it works is because for the first time ever, NFTs offer private property on the internet. So like you actually own the NFT. It's like a loyalty program, juiced up that you can pass on to your kids. That's what Reserve Pass is.
That's cool. I like that a lot. So what are some of the interesting things that you're seeing customers do with this? Because this is like a foundational base tooling to then be able to dream and create with it in my mind. That's how I'm picturing it.
Oh, dude, this is the best part. So we just turned off the pass, hardened the technology, added some new features like agency split model, meaning like an agency, you're working for a brand, you can do everything for them. Now you can program in so the funds go to two different wallets instead of just the brands.
Oh, cool.
We just implemented Crossmint with Crossmint so customers can pay with credit card. The reason this happened in our initial launch with the Magnolia Park, they minted 125 passes in less than 24 hours for like 94 ETH, roughly 94 ETH. But over 50% of these users were completely brand new to crypto. So they're excited, but it got to the point where it's like, I have my ETH. How do I make this purchase? Oh, you have to send it to your MetaMask wallet off Coinbase. Oh, that takes 7 days. Then you're kind of stuck. So from there, it's like, all right, let's let them work with credit cards so they can make that purchase really easily.
Oh, that's huge. So, okay, so there are two things there that I think are really, really cool. One, the agency side, so many people that are hearing this right now are going to have the same gut reaction that I did in my head, which was like, oh my God, why wouldn't I just start an agency and use this functionality and just continuously help out clients and store owners launch products and sell products and charge them on royalties on that NFT side? That makes billing so much more palatable for the brand, and that makes an agency have another area of really well incentivized cost structure that they can use.
Exactly. So so from now, like an agency or the brand's going to be incentivized to just do pass after pass, however they see fit. Now, agency can easily do that, and the cost structure is very friendly because the way I look at it, it's a way it's just an extra stream of revenue that the brand can use how they see fit without diluting brand value. And the service itself, like the app is free, meaning it's free to download. You can go on Shopify right now. The way ShopX earns our money is we earn 5% on the mint. So if you mint one NFT for $100, ShopX gets 5. We put 2.5 back into the foundation, and then 2.5% that goes back in the community. Another program we're launching called SquadX.
Cool. Yeah. So wait, I want to touch on one other thing. The credit card to mint is just, I mean, that's going to be its own meta, like CC to mint. It's going to be, I can see the hashtag. It's already there, but that's going to be a huge wave, and giving people that ability is also massively huge. Now, this may be a little bit niche for some people, but I spent a lot of time in e-commerce, so I want to nerd out on this a bit. How does that work and tie in with the Shopify billing? Because for those who don't know, and the last time I built a store, it was like this. I don't know if it's still like this, but previously, if you wanted to use Shopify's native offerings, then you would have your normal, 2.9 plus 30%, blah, 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 charges. But if you wanted to use like a third party payment processor that didn't go through Shopify, because obviously they're making money on that, then they would charge like an additional point on every transaction or something like that. So how does it work interfacing with like native versus third-party payment providers under the Shopify?
So as a brand, I'm using ShopX. You won't have to pay anything extra to use Crossmint. You can, excuse me, you connect your wallet, and the way Crossmint works is the customer doesn't know they're interacting with crypto because they see credit card. You're technically buying Ethereum with your credit card in real time, plus the gas fees, and that's getting deposited into the wallet of the brand, whoever you split in. But you as a customer just receive your NFT on that point. So you don't actually see the crypto aspect unless you want to.
Well, meaning like for the brand, how does that work with their payment processor? Like is that just happening through, let's say, Stripe? Are they cool with that? Or is it just, it's not even a factor because of like, how does that actually work? How does the flow of payments work, and which payment processor gets tripped for that? And how are they okay with crypto in this way?
See, I'm not 100% sure. I just know the wallet, like you put your wallet in, and when someone mints, since it's Web3, the Ethereum goes directly into your wallet. So it's not going through Stripe, but you as a brand, you're token gating the products. All it is, it's a wall before the checkout. So however you do payments normally for your products, it would just go through, and all normal retention emails would follow up as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how that actually works under the hood, because you would think that that would actually be a really big niche for the payment provider to want to step in and cover, because some payment providers have not previously been accepting it. But I mean, it's getting more and more accepted by the bigger, Visa and MasterCard and such. I know that's on the other side, but I think the whole world's moving there. I'm just really curious about how that all actually works.
Me too.
Cool. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about. I actually want to revisit a previous question because we got to talk about like one example, but what are some other really cool things that brands are doing with this technology that's really creative that maybe even you didn't think would be possible with it?
Yeah, so the best part is, like, once we open the floodlights, I'm sure you're aware, we're just at technology to help brands how they see fit. So the Magnolia Park, they did their gold, silver, bronze equivalent for passes. So how they're doing is they're going to continue to add benefits to their OG holders as a thank you for being a loyal fan. So now the pink mocha pass holders, they get like early access to all exclusive products, some discounted pricing, a bunch of stuff. We saw another example with a famous dog on Instagram, Husky Jackson. So he had an audience, but he didn't have a product. So he launched a pass prior to the release of his product. And this was like a Kickstarter event, meaning he got proof of concept, he got some cash to raise money or to start his product. We're going to work with some television shows in the sense it's like a one-time pass. They're going to partner with like their brand that they're already working with, launch an NFT with the brand specifically. Hey, fan, buy this NFT, it'll give you access to this product, and now you can do your makeup in real time with like the whatever main character. So it's another experience.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a big thing I'm a big fan of, or very excited for, and shout out to Jordan for inventing this, is Charity X. So what that is, it's same thing as Reserve X, but a charity version. So as a charity, you can launch a pass, get global frictionless donations. And so what we're trying to do is combine charity passes with brands. So we'll use the Husky Jackson as an example, and one of the animal charities, Best Friends. Husky Jackson's a relatively small brand. Best Friends is a very large animal-based charity. So what they could do theoretically is they could launch Best Friends doesn't have Shopify. They could launch a pass with Husky Jackson through the Jackson Shopify store, program in their wallet split, and then as a Best Friends donor, they could get discounted Husky Jackson or specific merch to the charity. So this would be an amazing way for a smaller brand like Husky Jackson just to get access to like millions of new potential customers, because everyone's incentivized to do so. Like Husky brand gets customers, charity gets donations, the donors get like a cool new donation vehicle, so they get like an NFT, maybe some product, maybe some access to in real life events. That's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I see the potential there. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how people actually do it, because what this is to me is kind of like it's almost like the democratization of this sort of functionality for the store owners? Like, how many store owners, I'm sure, and I'm just, asking rhetorically, but like, how many store owners saw what was going on with crypto, but did not have the ability or the bandwidth to actually implement this kind of stuff into their stores? Probably a lot, probably a whole lot. And then people that wanted to sell stuff, but for example, a YouTuber with an audience, or actually, let's stick with the YouTuber, because you can insert now through YouTube the product offerings that you want to have and like integrate it nicely with your channel and make it really smooth. Well, now you can bake in the NFTs into that whole, tech stack and that whole shebang. To me, it's giving everybody an equal shot. You don't have to be a stellar dev to do it or have to hire a dev team to do it. Now it seems like you can do it really easily. And so the people who can actually execute the best on the strategy and have the best strategy instead of this tech proficiency barrier, that the quality will increase over time, because the people who can create the quality experience for the customer may not be the person with the tech skills, but they can give the best thing to the customer.
Exactly. That's 100% right. Just keep it simple. Simple for everyone.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So thinking about what this means for different types of customers, right? I mean, I mentioned YouTubers or content creators or Shopify store owners or just e-commerce people, but do you think that this is going to bring more people into Shopify? Like, maybe musicians want to use Shopify. Maybe they don't want to use OpenSea and do all that stuff. Like, maybe they just want to go through Shopify. Where is that kind of the bet that you're making? Is that people just want the easiest interface, or how are you seeing that?
So it's not like the main purpose, but it'll definitely bring more people to Shopify, in the sense, if you want to launch an NFT platform, it's probably a lot easier to do that within Shopify within 3 minutes than finding a dev or doing OpenSea or whatever. But it's not like we're Shopify agnostic. So we are expanding to other platforms too. So eventually, once you get 3 out of the 4, that's probably most transactions. Of course, like the bigger brands, like let's say Nike or wherever, they have their own tech stack solution. But then they're used to, at that point, like if they want like applications, they're used to having to pay like dev integration for that. So it's not really that big of a deal for them. So I personally want to meet the customer where they are. And right now, most of the customers are on Shopify, but they're also on other platforms. So we'll meet them where they're at, make it as easy as them to do NFT Web3 stuff. And then on that side, we want to empower them to be able to bring as many people into the crypto Web3 community as possible through the use of NFTs.
Makes sense. I like that a lot. Now, could you see a world where, because I think about this a lot, and I don't know if this is possible or if it even makes sense to do this way, but like within a game, right? Obviously, it's cryptogaming.institute, so I'm obsessed with video games. I mean, I've been a gamer forever. Clearly, you've had some experience gaming as well. Within the game itself, let's say the game developers want to put in a marketplace or want to put in their own shop, or like they have a merch shop or they have DLC or something like that. Instead of having to build out their own stuff, could they just like take their Shopify presence and put it, or whatever the shopping platform is at the time, thinking evergreen, can they just basically port that into their game, have all the same functionality, and then just tie back whatever needs to happen maybe at the NFT level, or just through a basic API connection or something like that, to where they can have both an in-game shop that also exists outside? Where does that fall in the realm of possibility and or what you guys are thinking about?
Yeah, I would say that's possible based on what the metaverse is going to look like. So, for example, with and I think gaming is the perfect use case for NFTs. Like, for example, people are paying like $500 for a skin. I'd much rather have an NFT. And did you know that Vitalik actually invented Ethereum because it's like WoW character got nerfed or something? So
yeah, I think they nerfed his Warlock.
Yeah, and he's like, nah, I'm inventing a new money. And he did. But yeah, so like in the metaverse, I think this would apply for gaming. Like hypothetically, I could buy a pair of Nike shades. That was a terrible example, but Nike shades. And then I could get the NFT equivalent for that in the metaverse and vice versa. So if I purchase something in the metaverse, I could get the NFT that's linked to a real life product via the like SKU. I could claim that in real life. So I see the exact, again, no one knows the future, but I could see that playing very well in gaming as well. Plus, gamers are some of the most tech savvy people. So they transition into like crypto and Web3. I feel like a lot of them will get it pretty instantly.
I think so too. Why do you think that is?
They're just used to digital stuff. It's like, for example, like when you're playing WoW, it's like, well, of course, the gold is money. I'll pay real money for WoW gold. Same concept.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like for some, see, I feel like there are different types of gamers too.
Yeah.
And that brings different types of people into different areas of Web3. Like there are some, for example, let's stay with the WoW example. There are some guild leaders in WoW that would be so unbelievably valuable to have in the Web3 space. And I feel like they're just going to get it. Like maybe they create a guild in Web3, or they create a community or something, and I feel like those skills translate very well. But then another example would be, I love to play around in the auction house in WoW. Like that was one of my favorite places to be, and I love to trade and like do the thing. And that was like, I would always I'd play with my friends. They'd be like, how do you have so much gold? I'm like, bro, I'm playing the auction house game. Like, where are you? What are you doing? So like, there are people like that. And then there are other people that they're just so into the lore that I feel like there's a really cool lore component with the art and everything. Do you think the tech savviness applies equally to all? Or like, what are you seeing as far as like the different types of people, different types of gamers, different types of people in Web3? Because I'm sure you guys did probably a bunch of research looking at different types of customers and consumers through ShopX too. So curious how that all connects.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. Like we were looking at gaming pretty heavily because I do think it's a very perfect fit. So right now, our main core client base is with our launch partners is like hypeware, and that's a very gaming's very close to that in terms of like demographic. There's a wow. Yeah, so like I was thinking when you were talking about like like a bunch of stuff could be NFTized in game. So for example, like we were just talking about guilds. It's like, well, to prove your membership of the guild, you have like an NFT limited collection. That's like the guild pass. It gets you in. It gets you into specific events. Gets you on like you can go on missions. So it could be another way for the guild to connect in Web3.
I think so too. Now, how does this work out with the new? So the last I read, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, but Apple was instituting a 30% royalty on NFT sales.
Yeah, probably. That sounds like Apple.
How does that, like, how would that work out if they're in if they're in an app that's using the store? I'm trying to think of a way that it's not browser based, and maybe that's the way to just use it on the browser and escape that. But like, what if the store is built into the game? Or I'm trying to think of a scenario where Apple would be trying to enforce that, and you guys are using credit cards in the store with the NFTs. It would seem like they wouldn't be able to touch that. But is that how does that all work out?
Because I'm thinking like, because it's hard to. I guess they can enforce it if the app within Apple's, and I could be wrong too, but if like the app within Apple Store is the one launching the NFT within the Apple Store, then I suppose they can enforce that. But like you can't exactly force an NFT. Like for example, like Apple sells an NFT to be used in a game. There's nothing stopping me from physically sending the NFT into the game. It's like, what are they gonna do? It's a crypto,
right? Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking Apple make it so easy that people are just like, I'll just pay them 30%.
Because what would be ideal would be if you could use Apple Pay to buy NFTs. Like that is going to be a monster catalyst.
Okay, I'm sure that's where they're going to.
Yeah, and I don't know, but it would seem like then they would try to blanket as much of it into that rule as possible. So I'm just thinking like if it was going through the store and things are getting sold through the Shopify store or whatever the store is, they're probably going to try to capture that in some way, especially if the brand has an app that uses all the same rails as their store. Then that's how it could connect. Maybe there are in-app purchases that are basically store purchases. So yeah, I mean, is that something that's on y'all's radar and that you're even worried about right now? Or it's just kind of like, if it happens, we'll deal with it then.
If it happens, we'll deal with it just because for our first platform, it's a non-issue. And as well as the other platforms we're working on, like, yeah, like however those platforms are working, we're working closely with them to build them their specific solutions. But it's not Apple, so there's no like 30% cost or whatever.
For sure. So I want to scope out a bit. I feel like we got a pretty good understanding of ShopX. I want to scope out a bit in thinking about, you were around in the seems like in the 2016, 2017 days. So you've seen a couple of cycles, you've seen some ridiculous stuff going on. How do you handle both running a project, like you have your own project, as well as there's always the investing side of crypto. Like, how do you deal with those two? And if you're not in the trader camp, like, are you in the long-term investor camp, or like, how is your thinking shifted around that?
Long-term investor camp who dabbles in trading usually gets wrecked. Like I had Luna. I was like, okay. But yeah, so I'll use like an 80-20 barbell rule. It's like most of my investment I consider Bitcoin and Ethereum like safer than cash, safer than any stock. So that's my safe investment. And I'll like dabble with like 20%, like altcoins here or there. If I can get into like an ICO or IDO, obviously jump at that. But
Okay.
I try to find a project, and then I try not to check the price as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then running like ShopX is still, having this, wanting to be an investor and doing and needing to do investor things, at the same time. Like, how do you balance that, and how does FOMO affect you?
I'm pretty good at ignoring FOMO just because I learned my lesson. In terms of, honestly, I don't really invest in too many other cryptos or like coins or anything now, because obviously I have the core I just kind of buy.
Right on. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm just kind of curious. Like, you've been around for so long, you've seen the quote unquote birth of GameFi and crypto gaming and all that stuff. Really, it's been happening for a long time, and I feel like it's just the next iteration of gaming.
Yeah.
But where do you see the whole crypto gaming space going? And what do what is that going to look like to you? What do you think it's going to look like moving forward?
I think gaming is a great way to introduce crypto to the masses and help mass onboarding. Like for example, like I don't know, games like Axie or DeFi Kingdoms. You're playing a game and you're down 99%, but you're playing a game, but you're also learning DeFi simultaneously. Your characters are NFTs. You can make characters to get the NFTs. Every item is an NFT. I don't see why we can't. I guess the technology is more like it's probably harder to do. Like for example, DeFi Kingdoms is like Hearthstone, where it's like you get like a card that's relatively easy to make. So making something like Halo with NFTs is going to be more challenging, but I feel like that's eventually where we're going to end up.
And when you say Halo, like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Like the complexity of the game. So for example, DeFi Kingdoms, it was very easy just because the game itself is simple. It's like you send them to farm, they get your items, all that stuff. But with Halo, it's like, how do you create all that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it's definitely gonna get more and more, complex over time. But there are always the different types of games, and we see like the Flappy Birds or whatever, the super simple, this silly stuff. That getting big too.
Well, that's good simple before it gets complicated. And like coding in Web3 or like dev stuff, it's just much more challenging than simply creating the game, because every time you have to interact with blockchain, that's a whole new type of dev animal you need.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I try to tell people, because I talk to a lot of people about just the intersection of guilds and games and game devs, and especially when game devs are coming over from Web 2 to Web 3. Like, first of all, these people are trying to create something new, right?
Yes.
So that's difficult in and of itself. Then we're talking about gaming, and creating a fun game is super fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, that is so hard.
It's like you have to do like everything right. Like, yeah.
And you still have to do all the marketing, all the administration, all the partnerships, all the sales, all the everything, the finance. You have to handle the legal and blah, 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 blah. And okay, so there's all that. And then you introduce blockchain into the mix. They're like, what is it? They have to open up again this whole new chasm of learning. They have to get through the learning curve. they have to not get wrecked. They have to not set it up to where whatever smart contracts they have don't get immediately fucking botted or just absolutely played or wrecked or hacked or anything like that. And then a lot of times they're launching tokens on top of all that. Now you're talking about crypto because, there's the blockchain and there's the crypto side, but you could use blockchain without releasing a token, but then releasing your own token. Now you're a quasi economist on top of all this stuff. Like, that's unbelievably freaking hard.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, it sounds simple, but it isn't. And I could see gamers going like, so for example, like crypto and NFTs, as a gamer, if you create a fun game that's an immersive experience for your customer, like for example, like I like to use WoW as an example, like they could have just dropped new collections in the NFT. So once you have the community, you can keep dropping like, here's your winter skin, here's your summer skin, oh, here's this badass Soul Slayer sword type of thing. So you can do drops that way, and that can continue. I feel that I could see that as a Kickstarter way for gamers to help fund their own development. Because like, yeah, I could go raise money, or my community's already here, they all love me, I'll give them some cool items, and they'll give you some ETH, and then you just use that to further build.
Exactly. I've even seen it to where, and actually I want to make sure I have to say this in a way to where I don't violate any sort of confidentiality. Obviously I want to respect the project there, but I've seen it done in a way to where those who are the players who are getting in early through the NFTs and such, they structured it in a way to where those people then have the chance to become early investors.
Okay.
And it's like limited to them. And so you have to have been a real part of the community in order to even be eligible to invest. And think about the way that those incentives are then aligned. Like, they're early players, early whatevers, contributors, early ambassadors, and they hold the NFTs. And now they have the chance to actually invest into equity or tokens super, super early before anybody else. And they know for sure that they're not getting dumped on by VCs because they're the first ones there.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to be there. I mean, the incentives are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like you're incentivized not to dump. You're there early. You love the project. You're gonna hold. And then
Exactly.
very interested to see like stuff like that play out, not just in gaming, but in other aspects. Like for example, the brand. For example, like gaming too. Like it applies like same concept. Brand, e-commerce brand launches the pink mocha pass. It's because it's early investors. Like they're the kid who'd wait outside 24 hours to buy a hat. So now that person has a pass and he can go to the store and he knows his product's safe. Same with the gaming. You're early investor. You're helping out the product. You're telling your friends about it. You're an evangelist. Now you have the NFT. As the game rises, as the brand's e-commerce value rises, the VCs aren't getting the money because they're not there. The shareholders aren't getting the money. Your pass is the one that gains value. So like, imagine being like early Halo. It's like, oh, you're one of the first people to play Halo. You have like the original Master Chief, whatever pass.
Right.
That would be worth bank just because the brand did so well. And if you wanted to sell, and then you have the pass now, so like Halo can just keep. You're an OG. They can just keep giving you stuff. Like Halo 4, they can give you like, oh, well, it's connected to this wallet. Here's like a new hat or a new weapon. And then if I so choose to sell the pass, like let's say I'm getting like 40, I don't really play Halo anymore. I could sell it to like a young 20-year-old kid who actually takes care of the pass because he actually wants it. Then the brand could get their loyalty. I have the freedom of choice to sell for how much I want. He has the freedom of choice to buy it. Brand gets the loyalty. He's stoked. Then he passes it along or pass it to his kids. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I really think that's like one of the big promises of, at least on the gaming side, that one of the big promises of Web3 and NFTs is when you're finished playing the game and you've made so much progress as a gamer, you shouldn't be penalized just because you want to go play a new game. Yeah. You should be able to at least recoup some of that and not be forced, like, don't be forced to hodl forever. And maybe even have the opportunity to, let's say you want to sell it all and take that and use that as your buy-in to the next game to where, okay, maybe you can get a really cool skin because that's important to you and you've already spent the money. So you want to, you just want to enjoy yourself, and that's the way you best enjoy yourself. It's the freedom of choice that I think is the really, really cool thing which interestingly enough, that kind of loops back to what we were talking about ShopX giving the freedom of choice to people who want to, put NFTs out and tie that to ecom. But to give the gamer that freedom of choice, man, that is so powerful. I feel like not enough people take advantage of that.
And plus, like, we have to go back to the Vitalik example. It's like you can't fully get nerfed too because it's on the blockchain. You can't go backwards. So I think that's really important. Plus, like, I could see cool things happening, like interoperable games. Like, for example, if you're playing Fortnite or Apex Legends, there could be a weapon that works in both. Who knows? That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. That is something I'm super bullish on, and I have a lot of ideas around that. But for another time.
As someone who's I personally like seeing NFT artwork, so I know once gamers get the hand of that, they're gonna make some sick weapons that just look ridiculously cool, like some swords, some guns, like just like some Dark Knights. Like the gaming community, I think, is NFTs are very lucky that the gaming community exists and they're as awesome and creative and tech savvy as they are.
Okay, this is when gaming is going to explode. When the gaming community is able to mod and mod to own, basically, like when they can sit there and create things and then they can mint that. And then the games will also be able to participate. Obviously, the game should get a royalty. They put in the hard work. But the players who modded and created that stuff should also be able to benefit from that. And then you're really aligning and you're building you're enabling creators in different ways. Game changer.
That's gonna be hardcore because then so many people are going to try to create stuff and a lot will fail. But and as a game too, your game is going to get some amazing content because, like, I think we both know, like, once gamers can create stuff, it's gonna be sick.
Right.
Yeah,
like you want and I say this lovingly, you want the nerds to come in and fully explore the limits of the platform.
Yes.
Like I can't tell you how many people and I'm 27, about to be 28. Like, I can't tell you how many people my age are like, check out this really cool thing that I built in Minecraft. Look at all these intricate things. Look how many hours I put in to create this thing that I am now super proud of, right? What if they could do that with NFTs that the game will then sometimes incorporate and, let people like use that and participate in that? I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, people go hard in Minecraft. People make some insane universe. So yeah, like that can be NFT, that can be yours now. As it should be, you created it, and the game gets the royalty. People, if I like it enough, I can mint your project. Like, oh, this is awesome. I'll mint it, and then I have it.
Exactly. I think that's going to be super dope. I mean, it's coming. It's just I think it's a matter of when, not if.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. Well, Eric, I know we're getting close to time here. I do want to just kind of, I like to scope out and really just make sure that we can impart some wisdom for the people. I feel like there's been a lot of shift in people trying to become like macro analysts, and everybody's paying attention to all these different things, and there's a ton of noise going on out there. If you just had somebody's maybe newer to the space, and they're like, wow, I want to be involved. I want to get more in depth, but I just have no idea what the fuck's going on right now. What would be your like crypto survival guide, and how would you tell people that they should start here and end there?
Well, first point, ignore a lot of the noise. Second point, I would just encourage you to just buy some Bitcoin or buy some Ethereum and learn how to self-custody your keys with a hardware wallet. Because as a new person into crypto, security is one of the most important things, meaning if I lose my key, like if you have my keys, you take my money, I can't call anyone. So make sure you take care of your keys. That's super important. Once you buy like $50 worth of Bitcoin, $50 worth of Ether, you'll start paying attention to the price. The prices will draw you in. Then you'll start researching on your own leisure and going down your own path. But yeah, 0 to 1, get some skin in the game. Then just research Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, podcasts like this.
I love it. Well, Eric, you're the man. I appreciate you. Very bullish on what you guys are doing over at ShopX. I think that's going to be really, really, really exciting. I've already linked to y'all's Twitter, both of you personally, as well as the project. So everybody go check out and dive deep into the rabbit hole. Go explore, go create, go make some NFTs, go have some fun with it. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Absolutely. So again, thank you very much, Eric, and to everybody watching and listening. What can I say? Y'all are the best. I love you all, each and every one of you. And